They'd be letting you test it. Was it test cab for the last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fun.
It's good? Emma, Lebanese.
It is.
Okay. The ball?
Yeah, I guess that's good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Dave. We just dove into Roundtable, and now we're diving into Amazon. So I just want to start things off by saying this. Amazon has gone through a lot of different stages as a company. It started off as an online bookstore. It transitioned into what they called an everything store. Now it's far more than that. It's an everything company, so to speak. But Dave, I want you to bring us back to July 5th, 1994, when Amazon was first founded. How have we adapted since then?
So since then, like you said, they went from, the idea was just books, so Jeff Bezos quit his job,
Right.
and just fully dove into this.
He was working on Wall Street before that, I think.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, they're not even the first bookstore to sell online. There was books.com.
Really?
2 years before them, which they were able to outcompete.
I guess I did it differently. But again, Jeff Bezos, true entrepreneur. What's funny is that he's the only guy who actually got rich off of his first business venture.
Right.
I don't think anyone's ever done that before.
But yeah, he didn't start as early as a lot of the other guys, though, for sure.
Exactly. But the main adaptation, so right now the brand image, like what do we think when we see Amazon? 2-day delivery, 1-day delivery, any product you want. That is not, in fact, their most profitable venture, but not by far. With the advent of cloud computing, we don't even realize that anytime you go into Netflix, you play a movie, that movie is stored on a server somewhere. You're ordering something, Uber Eats, anything. All of these servers, they act as a little ping between you and the business that you're interacting with. So the way that Amazon Web Services works is, I think it's maybe 60% of their revenue at this point. It's silent. It's behind the scenes everywhere. So it's not just part of Amazon. It's part of every company. It's like the lifeblood of every company. Microsoft has a competitor. It's called Microsoft Azure, also in the realm of cloud computing.
And Google Cloud.
Yes.
Those are their top 2 competitors.
But Amazon Web Services does it extremely well. And the reason it's so profitable is because it's effectively a pretty low overhead, you know? It's not really, you don't have to innovate insanely like you do with shipping. It's not as complex, there's not as many bottlenecks. They just have a server and they charge people to use the server.
And this server is used for, like you said, a ton of different things. Even Twitch, for example, which is owned by Amazon as well, but it runs on AWS. So super huge variety of usage. And I think they have close to 40% of the market share.
It's, if not more.
Right. So really they're doing something right there.
It's crazy. And
north of 20 billion in revenue, by the way.
Yes. But I think that what we saw was as Amazon sort of grew really, really quickly, they might have plateaued a little bit. So right now they're effectively a giant, right? In many, many different ventures, in many different directions. But you're not seeing the sort of steep year-to-year growth. At some point they were growing almost exponentially between 2015 and 2020. And investors aren't really seeing that, so they're sort of maybe taking their money elsewhere.
Funnily enough, you don't hear them getting called a monopoly often. But when you really think about it, when you want to buy groceries now, who do you go to? Amazon.
Because
when you want to, basically like anytime you want to buy something, your first thought is, let me see if it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and even besides that, that's not even their main source of revenue, as you said. So it's crazy. They're super integrated into everyone's lives. But I think similarly to with Apple, since people just like the company, it's just kind of accepted and nobody really has an issue with it.
It's a company that does everything, you know, like Amazon is video streaming, like, I mean, Apple has video streaming, music, Kindle, a ton of different stuff.
Fire Sticks.
Yes.
What else is there?
Alexa.
What do you
think of the whole home?
Smart home, we tried it out in my household. I don't know. I don't think it's quite there yet with the Alexa, but maybe there's more advanced technology which makes it more useful. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on it.
I've never done it in my home. And I mean, as to those theories, like, oh, people can listen in on it.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
True. I think that it's really possible.
But who wants to, you know?
NSA. Don't take this video down. But no, I think this is what I really like about Amazon, and what I think is really cool is they're a company that clearly prioritizes innovation. Similarly with Apple, where we talked about they come out with all these new products like Apple with the Vision Pro, whatever. Amazon, you've really seen this huge shift. Like they've gone through a lot of different adversity. They were one of the companies that was deeply affected by the dot-com bubble collapse. They made it out of that, and they've just kept adding and implementing new things. like Bezos was saying, and as I said when I started off the episode, at first they started off as an everything store. That's what they wanted to be. But soon they just kept adding more and more and more and more. Now they're everywhere. Interestingly enough, a lot of the products that you would buy on Amazon are not actually sold. They're sold by a lot of third-party sellers
who use Amazon's platform.
Right.
I wanted to pivot to that. So even though it's not Amazon's largest revenue stream, it's still something that they're seen for. It's an immensely complex process. So the way it works is effectively 50% of the items that you find on Amazon are purchased wholesale from other distributors, and then Amazon uses their distribution network. Well, that's technically for third-party sellers. It is technically fulfilled by Amazon, but they're not really. It's the same platform, and then the other 50% is other sellers who use either FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, which means they just ship their goods to Amazon, and then Amazon distributes.
Amazon's infrastructure.
Yes.
The shipping and logistics, all that.
Exactly. So what's interesting, and I mean, I actually dabbled in this myself. You know, I was a third-party seller on Amazon for a little bit. So what they do is, the reason that they're so, like you mentioned, innovation, if you know, a little guy is shipping something from China, you have to pay for your own container space. You know, when it gets here, you have to package things, you have to think about all that. Something that a lot of people don't know about that Amazon is actually getting into, we heard about the whole, you know, supply chain crunch.
Right.
They offer to sellers, right? It's not something that they advertise. I believe it's called Amazon Global Services or something like that. They have their own cargo planes. They have their own ships, right? Like literally, yeah. And you can ship from China directly to Amazon's warehouses. So they're completely streamlining the whole entire process, and they're trying to this is like monopolization. They're trying to kick out different, for example, shipping companies. So you use Amazon's boat to deliver it to Amazon's warehouse, and then people purchase from Amazon. They're streamlining every step of the way. And I should mention, I went on to I got a little shipping estimate from them. It was half the cost of what I was paying for my freight forwarder.
Right. So this is something. What would it be called? Horizontal or vertical integration?
Both.
Right.
Both.
So they're basically controlling every single part of the process with all of their equipment, all of their products, handling everything. And this makes it really easy for people to use their infrastructure and start up their own third-party selling on Amazon.
Exactly.
Which is a huge part, like we said, of that marketplace.
And since Amazon has created this whole ecosystem in a different, very different way from Apple. Apple has ecosystem with different products. Amazon has a supply chain ecosystem, right? So you can use them from every step of the way. And if you're doing one thing, for example, if you're selling, it makes sense for you to, you know, to integrate, to ship direct, because Amazon only ships to their warehouses. They won't ship to your warehouse or their home, right? But what I think they're at this point now that they're so big that other companies pay them to have a little piece of this pie. So for example, if a third-party company is selling something on Amazon doesn't, what do? They're shipping it. You're paying for shipping, right? But they're just giving you access to this whole, you know, like cornucopia of services that they offer. Amongst that, they make a ton of money off of advertising, which again is them doing
advertising, just letting people rank higher when you look up certain products.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, they've been tremendous in this.
Yeah, now that they've essentially built out the platform, they can just pay people will pay them just to get a small piece of the pie, like you said.
Exactly. It's the difference, for example, like I know I was speaking to a guy in real estate, and we were with a mentor, and he said, at what point do you stop making phone calls and people start calling you, right? So Amazon doesn't have to reach out to sellers. Every seller wants
They're just picking up the phone.
You need to be on that platform. Yeah. Because anytime you order something else, you have to wait maybe a week for something. Amazon immediately, you know, snaps into it. And they control every step of the process. So like I said, that they had the ships. The most expensive part of delivery it's called last mile delivery. It's after you get away from huge hubs and you're actually going from door to door.
Right.
And we see Amazon trucks everywhere, especially, you know, in a city like New York, a metropolitan area. And yet, even if it's not the most profitable, it's still something like, rather the shipping. For them, shipping is not the most profitable. AWS is. It's still a part of their whole reputation that they make things happen so quickly.
Right. So Amazon is now associated with the whole streamlining and the efficiency. And interestingly enough, when they actually opened up Amazon Prime at first with the 2-day delivery, the whole idea of it, they weren't actually profiting. They were basically, I think they were losing money on every order.
Yeah.
That would go up from Amazon Prime. But over time, obviously that's changed and they've been able to, you know, make a couple dollars off of it. But, you know, it's interesting. They're a company that's willing to take risks, and they pride themselves on being the fastest and being the most efficient.
Yeah. And it's funny, the same thing happened with Uber, that they were losing money at first, and they just reported their first profit. Tesla, same thing.
A lot of the investors actually in Amazon, luckily the ones who were smart stuck by them, but a lot of people were saying, oh, why are we investing in a company that's not actually making money?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting.
It's amazing, and they don't really have a ton of physical products aside from Alexa. They're a service-based company.
Right. I mean, even if you look at what other companies that they own or are invested in, like Audible, Goodreads, IMDb, Twitch, these are all service-based.
I don't know they own the IMDb.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
that's a product actually. I think they would close.
They do.
I believe so. Zappos, online shoe and clothing retail.
Yeah, but again, retail. But I think that, remember what you were saying about innovation? The reason that they stuck around is when you take, for example, like the advent of BlackBerry, right? How they were coming up sort of parallel to the iPhone. Everybody was on BlackBerry. Everybody was using BlackBerry. BlackBerry was for business. As soon as the iPhone comes out, they like just strike with something so revolutionary. BlackBerry, and then everyone switched to iPhone in 2007.
Right.
BlackBerry sort of refused to innovate. They stuck to something so classic that they didn't really want to break out of that mold. And that's the reason that everyone, you know, even though it was something classic, it was just for the lover, you know, like for someone who's stuck by the product. And I think we can even connect this to, for example, the electric vehicle market. When you have a new company that comes on, they can sort of pioneer whatever they want, you know? They can make their own design. They don't have a design philosophy to stick to. When you see companies like Mercedes and BMW, they have 200 years of automotive heritage that they have to stick to. They can't make a completely brand new vehicle. So Amazon is that company, like it's still, even though it's been established for so long, they're not afraid to innovate to, like, okay, we ship things, why can't we have a completely different service-based platform? Why can't we own Twitch, you know? It's like a new wave of company.
Right. I think what it comes down to is just being a disruptor in the space.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be afraid to try something new, and the companies that are consistently trying out new things, even if it doesn't work out every time, like Google Glasses didn't work out, but Google is still consistently trying new things and developing their processes. ChatGPT created a market we didn't even know we had. Like nobody was thinking about, oh, when am I gonna get a AI chatbot or whatever, and now look at how many new AIs come out every week. You know, it's about creating new spaces.
What's interesting is Amazon hasn't really answered in terms of AI, right? Like with their own product or anything like that.
Not exactly. I mean, they've definitely gone the smart route with the Alexa and whatnot, but we haven't seen them step into AI yet.
I wonder how they're going to integrate artificial intelligence with Amazon Web Services in terms of just cloud computing. And those are actually all of NVIDIA's chips.
Right. And Taiwan Semiconductor.
Exactly. Check.
Everything ties in.
Shout out our South China Sea deep dive. That's fine. I think that's everything we have for today.
Right. Yeah, I think that's good. We kind of looked into how Amazon's business model has changed over time. We talked about what it takes to succeed in these new spaces that are coming out every day, whether it be AI or web services, whatever it may be. Yeah.
Yep. And Amazon isn't afraid to jump out, even with like Whole Foods food. Completely.
That was a great,
amazing. And
13 billion, I think, was the acquisition.
Like I said, they integrated into their ecosystem, and now they can use the same delivery network that they had and the same promise of, you know,
everything weaves in.
Exactly. Well, look, best of luck to you guys in your endeavors. Hopefully you can be disruptors in your own spaces. And we'll see you next episode.